let me call up our first presenter, the attribution category finalist, Kiril Tsemekhman, Chief Data Officer, Integral Ad Science, USA.
That's all the entertainment today. No music. All right. How to get people to respond to your ads. Today I will be talking about measuring performance, digital campaign performance. And that's very essential. I want to first explain why it is so important for us to start measuring performance the right way. Imagine 2008 Barack Obama campaign, the first claimed to be the first data-driven political campaign, presidential campaign. And they call voters. They call out to vote. And they measure how many people actually ended up voting. But they want to find out how effective they were calling out to vote. And imagine that they count all people who voted as part of the success of their campaign, political campaign. They would be awfully wrong, because there are tons of people who would have voted anyway. So what they had to do, and they actually did it, they identified people who weren't decided, who were undecided, and they called them. And that's important. That's incremental effect of their political campaign. It is important for us to measure incremental or causal effect, causal lift of the campaign. And that's what I call finding people and influence them and get them to respond to your campaign. Here are the brands we work with. We created a product that we call Causal Impact. And that product, since about 2 years ago, we measure the incremental lift of digital campaigns. Now, today, I want to actually find and explain that our submission to Data Creativity Award, I want to identify some levers, some tools that the marketer can use to actually increase, affect that causal lift, which is the ultimate goal of any marketer. So in digital space, you don't call out for people to vote, but you actually present your own products. And this is a typical way how we would measure the campaign. You run what's called an A/B test. The left here is a control, a public service announcement ad. On the right is the ad for the product. In this case, it's a double donut burger that we created ourselves. And now, obviously, people who see the ad on the left cannot be influenced by the campaign, and still they buy burgers. The ones on the right has a mix, both the ones that buy by themselves and the ones that are affected by the ad. And the difference is actually the incremental effect of showing an ad. In our world at Integral, we live on this, referencing the previous speaker, throes of big data. One of the metrics that we measure is viewability. Imagine that the ad can be on your screen or can be below the fold, and despite the fact that it's shown, it's never seen. So there are users who actually are shown 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ads, and all of them ended up not being seen. So you are targeted, but you don't see the ad. You are in control group. It's as good or as bad as being shown a public service announcement ad. So we realized at some point that we have what's called a natural experiment. We didn't run randomized tests, but the nature did it for us. And so the framework for causal analysis observational study is the following. The test group are the users who saw at least one viewable ad and could have been influenced by the campaign. On the right, the control group are the ones who were shown ads, but all of them ended up not being viewable. There are, obviously, this is not a completely clean experiment. We don't control how the nature splits those users. And there could be factors that make this experiment not completely clean. That's what we call confounders. That's the entire causal, what's called counterfactual framework that we develop, where we make sure that most of confounders are taken care of. We compute the incremental lift. we compute confidence intervals to make sure that statistically that the results are statistically sound. And we also have a way, an independent way to test whether we missed a lot of confounders, where we take one totally independent campaign ads, and one campaign look at impressions, at ads, and that totally different industry campaign at conversions, at actions. And we expect to have zero lift, and unfortunately, if there is a lift, it means that we are missing some confounders. So as I said, in this study, in this product that we have developed, we wanted to find out now not just measuring how to measure the incremental lift, but actually what levers the marketer can use to affect it, to change it. And in particular, this is what we call exposure levels, which is a two-dimensional measurement, two-dimensional object where we look at number of ads, frequency of ads, and total duration of ads. And we are trying to find out whether we expect them to be strong influencers, and this is what we get. So first, a typical campaign, quite unexpectedly, or maybe we all know that most users are shown only one ad. Few are shown two ads, and so on and so forth. If you look at how long the ads were in view, you'll find that 30% have seen an ad less than 1 second, and relatively few are above 10 seconds. And that's over the course of the entire campaign, over the course of as many ads that the user was shown. Remember, the incremental lift is the effect of marketer's message. This is the incremental lift that is created by showing an ad. And what you can see here is that that lift depends very strongly on the number of ads shown. People don't react on the first ad, on the second ad. They start reacting on 6th or 7th ad. That's the first takeaway. The second takeaway is that it's as strongly influenced by total duration. You cannot communicate. I cannot talk to you. If they gave me 30 seconds rather than 7 minutes, I would probably not be enabled. I'm actually short of time even with 7 minutes. So it's important that there is sufficient amount of time, and here it's about 50 seconds, where you get a saturation of the influence. And if you try to show more, statistical user will not do any better. So at some point, we get enough information over the 50 seconds, and more information is not useful anymore. The next thing that I wanted to show is how this effect is accumulated over time. So suppose I chose the group of users who were exposed between 15 and 20 seconds. How do I get to this 15 to 20 seconds? Through how many ads? And you can see immediately that it really depends whether you get to this 15, 20 seconds through 1 or 2 ads versus 5, 6, 7 ads. You'd need more ads, and that's both a statistical or probabilistic effect, but also it's behavioral, it's a psychological effect. We usually respond to ads, to information, to messages that we are familiar with. We first prime ourselves, and then we respond. So in short, we found and proved that there are levers that marketers can use to actually influence users differently and increase the incremental lift. And those levers are exposure time and frequency, and they work in tandem. You have to achieve a longer exposure time. You have to communicate longer, but not through 1, 2, but through probably many messages. And that's how you actually talk to a user. That's how the marketer communicates with the customer. Thank you.
Thank you, Kiril. Any questions for him?
When you're aggregating the amount of time that an ad's been viewed by an individual, do you account for how long ago the time that the exposure happened? So, for example, if you see 60 seconds of an ad in the last 3 days, it would be different than if you saw 60 seconds over the course of 90.
So what we've done is we varied the window over which we accumulate. So we started with a couple of days, we increased it to a week, then we increased it to 2 weeks and 3 weeks, and it turned out that apparently it's our memory that on typical campaign it's a week After a week, there is no additional effect, period. So we ended up using a week because the ads that were shown more than a week ago, we just don't have a memory of it, apparently.
What role did ad size play, and whether they were static and/or animated ads?
A good question. This would be a third and fourth dimension that we didn't explore yet, right? Definitely, it's a factor, just like a message as well itself.
Thank you, Kiril.
Thank you.